Welcome to our exclusive series, Creating Web Pages with HTML. This is episode 7, Forms. So, you've learned some inline and block tags, how to post graphics, and how to create links to other web pages. Good. Eventually, though, you're going to want to communicate with the people behind the sites you visit and allow people to communicate with you through your website. Forms allow this to happen. Today we are going to create such a form using the following lovely example. We'll learn how to code a decorative field set with a legend, a text box, a password text box, checkboxes, radio buttons, a select menu, a text area box, and the submit and reset controls for our form. Enough talk. Let's get coding, shall we? Open up Notepad again and open your template.html file. Delete the Place Content Here text and type the opening and closing form tags. This sets up our form. Next, let's add some attributes. Click inside the opening form tag, hit the spacebar, and add the name attribute with the value personal data. When we submit forms, the value of our name attributes will be sent and will help us know what all the data refers to. Now, today I'm not going to explain all the ins and outs of submitting forms. You'll have to talk to your internet service provider about that, but I will show you the required attributes needed to do so. We need to add the method and action attributes to our form. The method attribute can have a value of either get or post. Basically, the method attribute says, okay, how should the data be sent? The action attribute basically says, okay, so what program or script will handle the sent data the way you want it to? Let's add these now. Complete your opening form tag by adding the method and action attributes. Leave the values blank for now. Save this file in your HTML folder as forms.html. Hit pause now and complete the steps. When you're done, come back and hit play again. Now let's add the decorative field set and legend to our form. Field sets surround our form data with a border to distinguish the form from the rest of the website content. You can actually have more than one field set and legend for different sections of forms, but our form will only have one. Type the opening and closing field set tags inside of the form tags. Then, after the opening field set tag, type the opening legend tag, followed by the text, our first form, then the closing legend tag. Resave this file. Hit pause now and complete the steps. When you're done, come back and hit play again. Now we can finally code actual fields within our form, starting with the text and password input fields. As you'll learn, input tags can be of many different types. We'll use text and password as our types here. Type full name, then the colon, then the input tag with the type attribute set to text. Give it a name attribute with the value of full name. Since input tags don't have closing tags, put the space and / at the end of the tag. Type 2 break tags after that to put space between our form fields. Remember, to save time coding, we can copy, paste, and modify code. Highlight what you just typed, copy and paste it underneath. Change the text full name to password, change the type from text to password, and give this field a name attribute of pass. Resave the file, open this file into a second browser and study the results. When you're done, come back and hit play again. Hit pause now and complete the steps. We've successfully coded our two fields. We can type our name into the first field and a password that the browser hides from prying eyes in the second. Neat stuff. Even neater are checkboxes and radio buttons where people can make selections from multiple choices. Let's code these now. Click at the end of the password line, hit enter a couple times, and type the following code segments. This time our three checkbox choices have a type of checkbox specified and a value attribute given. Checkboxes need to have the same name so we know that these choices are part of a group, but different values so we know what people selected within the group. Now let's do the radio buttons. Highlight the entire checkbox segment of code, including the hobbies text, and paste it underneath. My coding is already changed, but for you, change hobbies to age, change all the types to radio, all the name attributes to age, and change the values and the text to what you see here. Take your time and study these two code segments a bit and you'll see that it is not that difficult to comprehend. Okay, resave the file, reload it into your second browser and study the results. When you're done, come back and hit play again. Hit pause now and complete the steps. Look at that, our checkboxes and radio buttons look great. Be mindful though that checkboxes allow you to select more than one item from the group, but radio buttons only allow you to select one item from the group. When deciding which of these two form fields to use, you will need to know this beforehand. Moving on, let's code the next two form elements, the select box or drop-down list as it's sometimes called, and the text area field. Click after the last input line and hit enter a couple times and type the following code segments. The first segment is the select tag, which has an opening and closing tag. Inside those are the option tags for each choice. We've given the select tag a name attribute with a value, and this time we gave it a size attribute too with the value of 1. This sets up how many entries will show up on screen inside the drop-down field. Finish typing the rest of the coding as shown. Now let's code the text area. Text areas are used to collect large amounts of data from users. The text area tag has an opening and closing tag, and a rows attribute and a calls attribute. The rows attribute sets how many rows the field will occupy. The calls attribute sets how many characters wide will fit on each line before the text wraps to the next. Study these two code segments a bit, then resave the file, reload it into your second browser, and study the results. When you're done, come back and hit play again. Hit pause now and complete the steps. Voila! Our select box functions properly and our text area box is ready for commenting. However, there's no way to submit or clear our form yet, so let's code those two controls now. Click after the text area line and hit enter a couple times and type the following code into your file. The first field is our submit control that will submit the form if clicked on. We make the type submit to give it its functionality, and we add a value attribute to hold the text that will show up on the control in your browser. The next control is the reset control. If clicked on, our form will clear all data entered into all the fields. We've given the value reset, so that is what will show up on screen. Resave the file, reload it into your second browser, and study the results. When you're done, come back and hit play again. Hit pause now and complete the steps. And there's our completed form. Notice if I hit the reset button, all my entered data goes away. The submit control would send our data if we filled out the method and action attributes of our form tag properly. Okay, one last technicality before we quit. Just because we type text next to our fields, that doesn't mean that the text is officially associated with the fields next to it. We need to add labels to our text and link our fields to the labels. This is very useful to people with disabilities using screen readers. Let's finish with coding labels. Type the opening and closing label tags around the full name text. Inside the opening label tag, add the for attribute with the value full name. We've now made the text full name : the label. Now we need to give the input tag next to it an ID to associate it. In front of the name attribute, type ID equals quote full name end of quote. Save your file, reload it into the second browser, and come back and hit play again. Hit pause now and complete the steps. Back in the browser, look what happens when I place my cursor over normal text. Nothing. But watch what happens when I place my cursor over the label text. Aha! Something special is going on. If I click on the text, bam! The focus shifts to the field associated with the label. Aren't labels cool? Why yes, they are. And in the next episode, we'll cover two more cool tags, the div and span tags. But that's next time on Tubetorial.